Hello, in this video I want to talk to you about what to expect and how to get the most out of your MG Easy Guitar lesson over Zoom. So since the government health restrictions have really sort of kicked in and seem to be amping up, we've really hit the ground running to be ready for teaching in this way. The process has been at times a little bit unnerving for some, and some people are unaware as to how these lessons might occur and a little bit confused about what I offer. So I just want to go over what you should expect from your lessons and what you can do to make the lessons worthwhile and as beneficial as possible for yourself or your child. So to begin with, what is Zoom? Zoom is an online conferencing app designed around users meeting using a combination of video and sound and while conversing in a virtual meeting room. Typically, my lessons will be one-to-one, although some students may prefer to attend as a pair in their meeting. So they'll each log on from their separate computers at their separate homes. And the student and teacher can communicate in much the same way as you would do over Skype. The advantages of Zoom over Skype for me are simply that as a teacher I have more options available to me to demonstrate things, and there's a whiteboard feature in there which is very handy, and essentially manage the call. I can bring in overlays, for example, an overlay like that. I can play video. I can share a screen, which I'll show you in a moment. I can enable chat, and we can exchange files through that chat system. It's very useful. So before your lesson, we really need to get you prepared. So we need to think about hardware, what you're going to need, basically. Most times, the best results are going to come from just a desktop or a laptop computer. The camera is stable. It's easy to set up and adjust the angle on a desktop or a laptop. Has a built-in microphone, built-in camera in most cases, unless you're on something very, very old. But that's going to be the best option. I have had students do lessons on the iPad, and that can be good. The sound can be good, and they can plug in headphones in much the same way. But the problem with it, I find, is that most people don't have a means of actually mounting their iPad so that they can adjust the angle and get a good shot of the guitar. So for me to help you as a teacher to learn the guitar, I need to be able to see what you're doing. As I mentioned, headphones, try to avoid the ones that have the microphones in them. You're better off using the built-in microphone of your computer. If you're able to disable that and make sure you're using the computer microphone, that's going to be a better result, simply because these are just going to get in the way. It's going to tap on your guitar, and it can be really annoying and make it difficult for me to hear what's going on. You would need a tuner. So here's my tuner. We've talked about tuners. I put a little video up on tuning. Urge you to go and have a look at that. If you don't have one of these or can't afford it at the moment, you can get a free guitar tuning app. I've downloaded many in the past. I haven't for a while because I simply use these. But if you did a search for free tuner, you're going to find a whole bunch of these out there. Or, they're a couple of bucks, so they're not much. You can get some really good ones these days. And there are other little options that, well, they're not little, but options that can enhance the experience. So a USB microphone is a separate external microphone you plug in via a USB. And often you're going to get a better quality of sound using those types of microphones than you will with just your built-in mic. If you don't have one, don't stress, it's not essential. But if you want to enhance the experience and also perhaps gain another tool that as a musician will give you the ability to record yourself into a computer, you may be able to record into software like GarageBand or Logic if you have it. There are free multi-track recording softwares out there, so check them out. There's loads. People use Ableton and different things like that. So these are all great and have amazing features. If you have a USB microphone, you have the ability to record a fairly good quality sound of vocal in there. We need to get into the settings of the audio. So What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen with you now. So here we have the Zoom app open. If we click on this little cog up the top here, we go into the audio settings, which I found just here. And you can see up here, this is my audio interface. So this is my speaker. So this is the sound coming out of the computer to my speakers. You would have this checked, built-in output or internal speakers. If you're using headphones, that'll cancel the sound coming out your computer and it will only be going out the headphones. And that's going to improve the quality of the what the microphone's picking up. Down here are the microphone settings, and once again, you would most likely have this selected unless you were using a USB microphone, and then you might have that checked there. Down the bottom of just below those two options, we have automatically adjust microphone volume. Make sure that's unchecked. And if we click on the advanced, sorry, I did that a little bit quickly. We should go back. I'll show you that again, just down here, advanced settings. And at the top there, show in meeting the option to enable original sound. If we can just check that. And then below that, suppress persistent background noise. Make sure that's disabled, as well as suppress intermittent background noise. We disable that as well, just by clicking on the drop-down menu like that. What these do is they are designed around speech. So it's trying to eliminate all background shuffling and sounds that the microphone might pick up. Unfortunately for us on guitar, it's going to disable that as well. So we want to have that feature disabled. So now that we've got the audio set up, the next thing we need to think about is just the setup of your camera. So some of you can adjust the screen by pulling it forward or moving it back. That's going to tilt or the camera. But the other way, you can actually add. There are features, little apps and things you can get to make your smartphone or whatever an external camera. You could have a look into that. I won't go into that in this video, but the cameras on the computer are fine, and I can see enough with that. If I can see your guitar. So I need to be able to see your guitar, and you can see it's all gone very dark here. That's because I'm covering up the lights that I have on. All right. If I bring it back here, you can see now I can see more clearly the guitar. So a view that encompasses about that much of the guitar is perfect for me. Okay. Don't be sitting too side on or on an angle like this. I need the guitar to be pretty much parallel to the camera, so that I can see where your fingers are and what you're doing with the strum. I like to keep an eye on the strumming hand as well. So that's the sort of view you want. Obviously, this view is not the view I use. I tend to use my close-up cameras and things like that I can show you different angles and different viewpoints of what I'm doing with the guitar. So you won't have that option to be able to split unless you've got multiple cameras plugged in. But make sure that I can see the guitar. I want to see the nut. I want to see the saddle. Okay, so make sure you're set up in that way. You may, if you're on a laptop, you may be able to set up the camera on a lower table. And you're on a higher chair, just so I can see the camera. Obviously, for children, I like the camera or the computer station to be set up in a public place. Children shouldn't be having conference calls with any teacher in a private place. It should be in public view. And I'd really appreciate it if parents can be onto that for me. But it does need to be a quiet place. So try to find a space where you're not going to be in the main living room where the rest of the family are, but maybe somewhere where mum or dad are around and can keep an eye on you. So we've discussed setting up the audio, we've discussed setting up the camera. Just in general, the best lessons I've had so far in these last couple of weeks have been where the student is all set up and ready to go. So be ready. Have your guitar tuned. Have your book ready. If you're using a book with the printouts I've given you. When you come into a session, check that your microphone is enabled. I think that it's as a default setting, it's set with the microphone disabled, so you'll have to enable that. I also have the ability to record, and again, just a word for parents. I do like to let people know before I record anything, but if I'm going to record myself playing, I can attach that into the Dropbox, and it might be an exercise, a difficult exercise, for example, and the student can refer to that throughout the week prior to the next lesson. So that's a very handy feature. Just a little word with bookings. It's a good idea to lock in a meeting time now, and try to lock in a permanent arrangement where for the term 2's coming up fast, but I am sort of taking in bookings now and setting up times for people. So get in early. I don't want you missing out, especially my school students. Don't want you to miss out if you're wanting to have guitar lessons. That's about it, I think. Look, I'm really excited about this new format. I was a little bit nervous at first, but the more I look into it, I think it's definitely got its advantages. There are obvious disadvantages. We can't jam together, things like that. But, the views that I can show you of the guitar and things like that are great, and it's in some ways it's clearer for the student to sort of see things in this way, Depends what we're doing, of course, what the exercise is, but there are advantages to it. I can drop in videos. The feature of being able to record is a fantastic feature. So I've already done that this last week. Recorded a little section of the lesson that goes in the Dropbox, and the student can refer back to that. So there's some really good things about it. Obvious downsides, but it is great to have you in the studio and be able to work in that way and have a bit of a jam occasionally. But we'll find workarounds for those things. I can send you audio files that you can play over and various things like that. So I think it's going to work really quite well. So I'm hoping to see you soon. Feel free to drop me a line if you're a potential new student that I haven't met yet. I'd love to hear from you. Roster's filling fast, so don't muck about. Get in quick, and I'll look forward to seeing you in our Zoom lesson.